All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 111 of Sports Hype. Not as much to get into today as the sports world is calming down a little bit as the season starts to ramp up sooner. Obviously, USA Olympics, we'll get into that a little bit. There is some NFL news as well. First and foremost, the Titans did sign Jamal Adams. So we'll give our thoughts on that signing as Jamal Adams was a free agent for a long time. And so the Titans finally decided to swoop him up. The Steelers cornerback, much to the dismay of Gio over there. Steelers cornerback Cameron Sutton was suspended for 8 games without pay for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. So we'll give our thoughts on that and what it means for the Steelers for the first 8 games of their season. Then to get in the NBA, we'll touch on the Knicks signing Jalen Brunson to a 4-year, $156.5 million contract extension. That's $113 million less than he could have gotten had he waited. But he decided to take it right now and help his team with financially to help them sign players in the future and potentially, hopefully, win a championship one year. So we'll give our thoughts on that. The biggest news of the week was the Sacramento Kings landed DeMar DeRozan, though, in a 3-team sign and trade. They signed DeMar DeRozan to a 3-year, $74 million deal, and Harrison Barnes went, and a 2031 unprotected pick went to the Spurs in the deal, and then Chris Duarte, 2 second-round picks, and cash was sent to Chicago in the deal. So we'll give our thoughts on that entire deal. Sadiq Bey signed a 3-year, $20 million deal with the Wizards, and Josh Okogie agreed to a 2-year, $16 million deal to return to the Suns. So we'll give our thoughts on both of those signings. Then Dario Saric did sign a 2-year, $10.6 million deal with the Nuggets. So give our thoughts on that, as well as Kyle Lowry agreeing on a 1-year deal to return to the 76ers. He did have a lot of contenders pursuing him, but he decided to stay in Philly. Detroit Pistons did claim Paul Reed off of free agency, speaking of Philly, so they lost their backup center. We'll give our thoughts on that, what it means for the 76ers specifically. And then Derrick White did replace Kawhi Leonard on Team USA after Kawhi decided to opt out due to knee soreness and inflammation. There's a lot of controversy about this, a lot of other players that could have been chosen. So we'll give our thoughts on that and who we think should have been chosen had it not been Derrick White. And then wrap it up, we'll touch on the in-season tournament returning next season. It is now named the Emirates NBA Cup. It looks like it's here to stay. So give our thoughts on that. And then the Lakers did add Greg St. Jean as an assistant coach on JJ Redick's staff. He won the championship as an assistant with Frank Vogel in 2020. So I believe there's one more opening in JJ Redick's staff now. So we'll give our thoughts on that hire. But we'll start with Jamal Adams signing with the Tennessee Titans. What's your thoughts on that, Gio?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. Obviously one of the best defensive players in the league, in my opinion. Signing with the Titans really doesn't make that big of a difference. Yeah, they have, Will Levis and, running the helm, running, that offense. Receiver-wise, who did they just pick up? Receiver-wise, they got one receiver in the offseason.
Oh, yeah. What was it, Ridley? Yeah, it was Ridley.
Yeah, so, I mean, that offense is starting to come together. Maybe they're going to create an identity this year. Defensively, I feel like they still need a lot of pieces. At least they got that leader, though. He understands how to run a defense that might not be great and how to rebuild a defense, right? Because he was with the Seahawks. He understands how to rebuild because of that. So, yeah, great signing. Overall, it's not going to really do too much because of, we've said this in the past, of how top-heavy that AFC conference is. It's going to be really, really hard for any, mediocre to bottom-tier team to make it out into the playoffs because there are so many great teams in the AFC. But like I said, great signing for them, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great signing for Tennessee. I think they're going in the right direction. Like you said, they're revamping that offense, and I believe they're going to surprise some people with that offense. But defensively, they still are missing a few pieces. One was safety, so they checked off that box to Jamal Adams. I was honestly surprised he was still a free agent. I did not know he was still a free agent until Shefty posted this, and I was like, oh, he was still a free agent? Wow. So surprised that it took that long, but great signing by the Titans. And like I said, I do believe they can surprise some people, like maybe 8-9 wins. But as you said, it's so top heavy in the AFC that even if they get 8 or 9 wins, it's going to be very hard to make the playoffs because of how many great teams are in the AFC.
For sure.
But overall, great signing, like you said, and we'll see what happens with Tennessee in the years to come. And moving on to the Steelers cornerback Cameron Sutton getting suspended for the first 8 games without pay for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. What do you think that means for your beloved Steelers?
One, I'm not sure what did he do exactly.
I'm not 100% sure, but I saw that he beat a girl.
Okay, one, you can't be doing that. Okay, two, you let down your team, right? Let alone the personal life, understanding that you shouldn't be doing that to begin with, but you let down your team, right? That's 8 games where you're a needed player, a great player that fits into that defense, and you're not there. That's terrible. That just shows like we need players that want to be there, that will do everything they can to be on the field so that we can win games. That's the championship. That's the Super Bowl mindset. Obviously, he doesn't have that because he would have thought twice from committing those actions. And then the second thing I want to mention is the fact that he's just a great overall player. We're gonna have a hole now in our defense to where it's like, yeah, look at our defense when everyone's healthy. Look at our defense when everyone's on the field. I don't think there's a defense better than what we have on paper right now, right? As a complete defensive line, there's no holes. Now we go into our secondary. We revamped our linebacker position, revamped safety, right? Got a couple cornerbacks. I mean, we revamped everything that we had a weak point last year, and we capped all of our strong suits, right? Our strong points. So for him to do that, it's very disappointing. But then again, we are the Pittsburgh Steelers. We fight to the last breath. We do whatever we can to win games, even without T.J. Watt, even without Cam Hayward. We won a couple games with our 2 best players out. So realistically, I think we can do a lot. Still defensively, but it just sucks. We're gonna miss 8 games without a complete defense.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw this, it was definitely a big blow. I thought it was definitely a big blow for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Their lowest point on defense, as you said, is their secondary, and now without Cameron Sutton, it makes it even lower. So it's going to be very tough to defend the top receivers for the first 8 games, no matter who they're playing.
Right.
It's going to be a huge loss. And like you said, you can't be out there, putting your season or your playing time at risk, knowing what you're doing is illegal, especially in NFL terms. Like NFL does not mess around with domestic violence. So if you get caught doing that, you're most likely going to do 8 games minimum to like 12 games max. So you have to think, I mean, obviously you shouldn't be doing it in general, but like the fact that he even did that was terrible. But I mean,
Right.
You also have to think about not only your future, but your team's future as well.
Mhm.
And the fact that he wasn't doing that shows that, I mean, I'm not going to say that he doesn't care, because obviously he does care. He came out and apologized and said he does care.
Yeah.
But like, you have to be thinking about that in the moment, though.
You have to understand what's at risk with every action you take, whether it be drinking, whether it be using other, substances, right? You have to be thinking about your team. You have to be thinking about your future. You're making millions of dollars here, right? Everything can go away. If you're not like a star-studded player, like a Micah Parsons, like a Patrick Mahomes, and et cetera, like that, your future's, in jeopardy. You might lose everything you are working up to, lose everything that you've already made and established, and it all goes to waste. You can't be doing that. Got to think about that. Got to think about your team, and that's all I got to say about this.
Right. I mean, look at Henry Ruggs. Everyone thought he was going to be a star, and then he makes one wrong decision, terrible wrong decision, and his career's over. I mean, luckily it wasn't like this for Cameron Sutton, but say he does continue to live this type of lifestyle, it could get to that point where you put your team at risk and your life at risk, and others' lives at risk as well. So you have to think about every action you take, like you said, and not only every action you take, but think about how it's going to affect your team. So hopefully he'll be able to do that. After his suspension, he'll have some time to think about what he did, and hopefully he won't make a mistake like this again. But on the field, it's definitely going to hurt the Steelers. But like you said, they still have a top 3 defense in the league, arguably the best, like Gio said. So I mean, they'll still hold teams to 10, 17 points as they always do, because they have an insane defensive lineman. It's just their secondary is going to struggle for the first 8 games without arguably their best quarterback.
For sure.
But hopefully they'll be okay, and we'll see what happens. But to get to the NBA, the Knicks did sign Jalen Brunson to a 4-year, $156.5 million contract extension. As I said in the intro, had he waited for next year, he could have made $113 million more. But he decided to put the team first, like star players should, and help them prioritize adding talent to their team so they can win a championship in the short time that they have a chance to. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you stated it perfectly. Star players should be doing this. If you're not, if you're on a team that has a chance of winning an NBA championship, then you should be making all the moves you can in order to, reach that, ultimate goal, right? Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks are so close to winning that NBA championship. It's ridiculous. They were so close last year, even with all the injuries, without the size, whatever you want to say. They didn't say any, state any excuses. They were so close at winning that championship with all the heart, with all the fight they had. Adding Mikal Bridges, all they need to do is add a little bit more size. So that $113 million taken off of that, it's amazing. It shows you the selflessness of Jalen Brunson. It shows you that he wants to win. It shows you that he cares more about his teammates, like, say, a Josh Hart, who is up for a contract, say, like Dante DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges, in the future. The whole Villanova squad. He just wants everybody there. You don't see that a lot nowadays. You see, very selfish players. Not going to say Jason Tatum's selfish, but he just made a $300 million contract. Jaylen Brown just made a $300 million contract, and they could be adding a little bit more depth to make sure they go, and repeat. But ultimately, this is what I like to see. This is why the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Tom Thibodeau is creating an amazing culture. I remember when New York Knicks fans used to put bags over their heads, because they were so disgusted with their team, their franchise. The only thing that I don't like is James Dolan, still running the squad. But you have a great coach, you have a great GM, you have great players, you have great culture around the New York Knicks. And I'm loving what they're doing in New York right now. So go New York, go New York, go. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, this was a great gesture by Jalen Brunson. The fact that he took, I mean, to take even a pay cut is insane, but in today's NBA, but $113 million pay cut, that's unheard of, especially in today's NBA. So great gesture by him. And I mean, obviously it was appreciated by his team and his teammates. Josh Hart tweeted out after it had been built him a statue with a tear emoji. So you could tell that like it means a lot to them what he did, because they know that they want to stay in New York and they want to make good money as well. And now with this pay cut, they have the chance to do that, and they want to win a championship with their friends. I mean, they've been great friends since college, and now they're on the same team in the NBA. You never hear of that happening either. They want to keep this group together. So Jalen decided to take that into his own hands, which is great. To me, this is what Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum should have done. Not say a $113 million pay cut, but at least a little bit of a pay cut, especially after winning a championship, in order to keep that core together in the future, as well as add a few key pieces to try to go back to back and potentially back to back to back. But now with their contracts, it's going to be a lot harder to win in that aspect for maybe even this year. Like, it's going to be a lot harder to go back to back with the cap space, the little cap space that they have. But for the Knicks, this is a great deal. Obviously, you got to lock in Jalen Brunson. He's your star player. Have to make sure you keep him. And I mean, their future is insanely bright. I won't be surprised if they make the conference finals this year and potentially the finals as well, if not this year, in the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard. One, because you have, I don't want to say, but you have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are revamped, right, for the most part. You have the Boston Celtics, obviously. We'll see what the Cleveland Cavaliers do. Maybe they'll have, more success. They're getting better every single year in the postseason.
You can never rule out Miami either if they're healthy.
Who?
Never rule out Miami if they're healthy either.
Miami went healthy, although they did lose Caleb Martin. What you can say now is the younger teams are getting better. Look at Orlando. I think they're going to be, a threat in the East. Look at Milwaukee Bucks. If you have a healthy Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, see if they revamp a little bit more in their depth. You look at You look at obviously New York's in the mix, but if I'm picking top 3 or 4 teams, obviously New York's in there, but it's going to be very hard for them to go ahead and win 3 rounds to get to the NBA Finals. It's going to have to take a juggernaut like the Boston Celtics to reach NBA Finals in the East now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's gonna the first things first. I mean, Boston's trying to go back to back, and they're going to be very hard to take out. So if they meet them in the conference finals, it'll probably be Boston in the finals again. I just feel like they got too much size for the Knicks, unless the Knicks go out and get size, like you said, which they still have time to do. We'll see if they do. But it's going to be very hard. That's why I said I think they make the conference finals this year, and then potentially the next year after they add a few more pieces, given that Brunson took this pay cut, maybe they can make the finals the next year.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. In the West, though, a team that missed the playoffs last year got insanely better by getting DeMar DeRozan. The Sacramento Kings got DeMar on a 3-team sign and trade. They signed DeMar to a 3-year, $74 million deal as well. And Harrison Barnes and a 2031 unprotected pick swap was dealt to the Spurs, and Chris Duarte 2 second-round picks and cash was sent to Chicago. So what's your thoughts on that entire deal?
Yes, you lose Harrison Barnes, right? You got DeMar DeRozan.
Exactly.
You have DeMar DeRozan. You have De'Aaron Fox. You have Domantas Sabonis.
Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk.
I think right. You have also. Don't forget about Keegan Murray. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a shooter. He's lights out. Okay. The Sacramento Kings did not make the playoffs this year. I guarantee you they're going to be a top 4 seed this year. Top 4. No one's going to beat them. It's going to be just like 2 years ago when everyone was lighting the beam. DeMar DeRozan has the best chance this year in his entire career to reach the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, he's Toronto. They could never get past LeBron James. LeBron owns them, so he never had a shot there. And then obviously Chicago's just, I don't know what he was doing going there. That didn't work out. But now, yeah, the Kings with Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, the type of team they have, if they can stay healthy, as a 4 or 5 seed, I'd say they're 4 or 5 seed. They'll be top 5 in the West, and they could surprise some people. I mean, they could definitely knock off the 1 seed, knock off the 2 seed, knock off whoever they need to knock off to make the finals. I mean, they're that good if they're healthy. That's the main thing for me.
Well, let me just say one thing. This is going to be tough because I know I'm going to get a lot of heat. The Denver Nuggets are done. The Denver Nuggets will not reach the Western Conference Finals again with Nikola Jokic.
Really?
Unless they get another superstar player with Jokic and Murray, they're done.
Why do you say that?
One, KCP, massive part of the team. He's going to be extremely missed. It's like one of those types of players where you're going to be like, oh, I wish I had an Alex Caruso on my team still. Oh, we shouldn't have got rid of him. KCP was a huge role on that Denver Nuggets team, right? Defensively, he was a monster. Offensively, I don't think people understand. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. can make buckets. KCP made timely buckets that changed momentum. Had momentum shifts in the game that won them games, that put them ahead and late into the games, that iced the game. Whatever you want to say, KCP was that guy. You look at the team they had last year, and to me, they had no shot at beating the Minnesota T-Wolves. That was their first time. Okay, they had no shot. You had young Anthony Edwards. You had, Jaden McDaniels, right? You had, Cat and Rudy Gobert. They had no business losing that. In my opinion, they had no business losing to that young squad, okay? You were the more experienced team. You had you were defending NBA champions, and those guys had zero experience up to that point in the playoffs. So to me, I think that was a huge blow. That was a wake up call for the Denver Nuggets and saying, hey, in order for you guys to get to this point or reach even farther, you guys have to do a lot more. And I don't think they did that. I think they got rid of key pieces, and they're not really adding the pieces, I believe, for them to go back to the championship, to go back to the NBA Finals. So I think they're done. Sacramento, they're going to be a top 3 seed. OKC, you know what they do? You know what they just got? They got two bright-skinned brothers on that team. Okay, because that's what what's his face? What's his name? Who's sorry, the center.
Hartenstein?
No, number 7.
Oh, Holmgren?
Thank you, Chet. Yeah, that's what Chet said. Welcome my bright-skinned brother on the team. Hartenstein, is amazing. You know what they can do? They got size, they got depth, they got guards, they got defense. It's ridiculous. They got Alex Caruso. He's the GOAT. So OKC is top 3. Sacramento is top 3. Is Minnesota going to be top 3 seed again?
I think they'll be 2.
You think they're going to be the 2nd seed?
I think it's going to be OKC and Minnesota, yeah.
I disagree.
Who's the 2nd seed for you?
Who's the 2nd seed for me? See, that is very tough. 1, we know the Clippers are out, right?
Yeah, 100%.
They're done. 2, we know the Pelicans. They're not. They're such a question mark. They're not going to be in it.
No, they're not. They'll be a top 6, I think, but not top 3.
Denver, we know. I think they're taking a step down. They're not going to be a top 3 seed. They're not going to be number 2. I have a shocking team, and I'm trying to think of it. Yes. Okay. I was about to say Dallas because I was going to say I have a shocking team, and then I have, a team that people are more likely going to say it's going to be Dallas. They just went to the NBA Finals, so they're going to most likely be the 2nd seed or 1 seed or a 3 seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Golden State Warriors have a revamped, young, fresh legs, Klay Thompson-esque player and Buddy Hield, okay? He was the number 2 3-point shooter in the league behind Steph Curry. Are you telling me right now Steph's not slowing down? Dre's Dre. He's going to be so consistent on the floor. Kevon Looney, all the other guys, Kuminga's getting better, Moody's getting better. You're telling me they can't be the 2nd seed?
I think they'll be top 6, but I don't see them being top 3 at all, personally.
Bro, the shooting on that team is back. How can you stop when you have all those pick and rolls? When you have all those screens, off-ball screens? Klay was missing all those shots last year. I'm telling you right now, Buddy Hield's not missing 50% of those shots.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't think it's enough to be a top 3 seed, though.
But to me, that's a swing of 20 wins.
Maybe.
Okay, because, you look at it, the Golden State Warriors lost a lot of close games.
Yeah.
Okay. They lost a lot at home.
Yeah.
Tell me that they're going to lose like that at home again. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it's uncanny to think, a good team loses at home the majority part of their games.
Yeah, true. I mean, the same thing happened with the Lakers too.
Right? So that's what I'm saying is I don't think they're going to have that type of season at home again. I think a lot of the swing games on the road are going to go their way because they have great shooting now. That's a 20-plus win, swing. You look at it, they're at, 50, maybe? 50? How many wins? 38 last year?
I think around 30, like 35, 38 in that range, yeah.
Plus 20, you're looking at 58 wins. You're looking at a 60-win season. That's usually a top 3, top 4 type of team.
To me, it's just their bench lacks.
Yes, and I agree. But if they can add another piece, if they can develop a couple more players, I love what they're doing with their guards. I love what they're doing with Kuminga and Moody. I think this is the year where we see a lot of those guys take a jump. Everyone expected it last year. Why not this year?
Yeah, I could see that. Personally, though, I think the Warriors' run at being a super team is over. I think they'll be a
Yes.
playoff team this year, though. They'll definitely be I think they'll be in the play-in, not playoff. They'll be like the 6 to 8 seed, in my opinion. I think that's where they'll be this year. They'll take a jump, but it won't be a drastic jump.
I mean, to each their own. I do think Buddy Hield, with the amount of shots that Clay did miss last year, although he did shoot 40% from three, I'm just saying the timely shots that Clay missed, I think Buddy Hield will make those. And those are the types of shots that will swing games in their favor.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But to get back to the Kings, though, this was obviously a great addition. Their championship window is wide open now, especially with how wide open the West is. Like the West talent, majority of it went to the East. So the fact that they made a move and made sure that they can take advantage of this and try and win a championship was a great move by them. What?
What do you mean by that?
By
you
what?
Said the majority. Are you just talking about a Paul George going to the East?
It's not just Paul George. I mean, yeah, that's the big one. But there's been a lot of players from the West that went to the East, in my opinion, more than usual this year.
Maybe there is more than I'm thinking of right now. But realistically, OKC is the same team. They added Alex Caruso. Minnesota's the same team.
I mean, the only team that got better outside of OKC in the West to me is Dallas, obviously, and then Golden State. Those are the only three. And New Orleans a little bit with DeJounte Murray.
You guys have the same squad. I'm just saying, like, everyone was saying how star-studded the West is. I'm not thinking, like, there was a shift. It's not like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving go over to the West. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From Brooklyn. And then obviously you had James Harden go over to the West. I just feel like there's a lot of players still left in the West.
I just feel like the East is so much stronger, in my opinion, than the West.
I think it's more competitive. I think star-studded wise, West still takes the cake. But East-wise, it is so much more competitive. One, because you have a lot of young guys, a lot of young, great, talented guys that are trying to, prove their way, and make their mark in the league. And then you have other guys that are younger-ish, they're in the, prime of their careers, like I want to say like a Donovan Mitchell-esque type of player. Jalen Brunson's heading into his prime if he's not already in it. Those type of guys are looking, are hungry for that championship, so they're really attacking this chance right now. But I just think it's because of the youth and how they're trying to make their own mark in the league. That's why the East is so competitive. West, I feel like it's a bunch of older guys, still, has a lot of talent, but they already know they're already battle tested. They already have their mark in the league, so they know what to do. That's why, to me, the West is still more complete. I would take the West all day over the East.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, maybe I'm thinking a little bit. Maybe I thought more people left. I mean, obviously, Paul George accounts for a lot of players, but I feel like.
But
I think I thought more people left. Like Paul George to me accounts for like 5 players from the West because like that's how good he was for the Clippers.
But then again, they didn't do anything. That's why to me they never actually did anything, right? That's maybe they won a lot of games and that could be a shift in power in the West of like, okay, who's the top seeds now, who's the bottom seeds now, that could be a shift. But realistically, I just believe star-studded wise, the West still takes the cake. Maybe there was a lot more like I want to say depth pieces, maybe middle tier guys that moved to the East that could have happened, to make those teams better. But at the same time, I just believe there's more stars in the West still.
Yeah, I could see that. But I mean, obviously, the other parts of the deal, like Chicago, that doesn't do much for Chicago, in my opinion. I'm not really worried about that. But to me, the big thing for the Spurs was getting Harrison Barnes. Like, they now have a big three of Wembanyama, Harrison Barnes, and Chris Paul. Like, they can make some noise in the West and surprise people, in my opinion.
Don't forget about Keldon Johnson. He's
Yeah,
nasty.
like, bro,
He's a
they have
young
a
talent. I think
they're
CP3 will
young,
really help him out.
like they're a young squad, but now they actually have leadership to help them. And
100%.
Wemby won't go like 10 possessions without touching the ball either.
You have an NBA champion in Harrison Barnes who knows how to, win a championship. You have Chris Paul, arguably top 3 guard of all time. In my opinion, he's a top 3, like, pure guard of all time. You can't deny that. Obviously, he doesn't have a championship. Talent-wise, IQ-wise, he's there. And then Victor Wembanyama is a beast in his own. I mean, we've never seen a player like this before. With Chris Paul's IQ, with Harrison Barnes shooting, with Keldon Johnson's athleticism, it's just... And Popovich. Greg Popovich coaching this squad.
I'm
30,
not
35-plus win season, for sure.
Yeah, like, I won't be surprised if they make the play-in and potentially make the playoffs as a lower seed and shock some people, like take a few games from the 1 or 2 seed potentially.
100%. Look at everyone thought CP3 going to OKC was terrible for him, terrible for his career. It revitalized his career. It showed people that he still has it, and he led that team to a playoff series against the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe it was in the second round. Is that right? Second round or first round? Second?
I think it was second, yeah.
Second round? Yeah. I do believe it was the second round because they won the first round. Yeah. So to go to the second round with that young squad, with Shea, not being the star he is, teaching him a lot of things with Lou Dort, right? I mean, anything can happen when you have CP3 and Greg Popovich, coaching.
Especially with a talent like Wembanyama next to him.
100%.
So I think that outside of the Kings, obviously, the Spurs are big winners in this deal as well. And then the Chicago's just rebuilding.
Yes.
Speaking of rebuilding, Saddiq Bey did sign a 3-year, $20 million deal with the Washington Wizards. That is his hometown, so I believe that is why he chose that team. What's your thoughts on that deal?
Yeah. For me, I'm going to keep it quick. Good for him. Good for Saddiq Bey. Good player. Keep him moving. Doesn't really do anything for me. Obviously, good for him in his hometown, but doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the Wizards. Anytime I see the Wizards sign someone, I'm like, okay, they're not going to win in like 10 years anyway. It's not going to do, like, unless it's a drastic player, it's not going to change their trajectory. But obviously, great deal for Saddiq Bey and it's cool to play in his hometown in front of his family and friends. And great deal for the Wizards, but they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
But moving on to a team that does have potential to go somewhere, the Phoenix Suns. They did agree to a 2-year, $60 million deal with Josh Okogie to have him return. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he's a great depth piece. Great athleticism. Defense is there. Rebounding is there. I do like this move. Good for them. Is it going to be a make or break type of move for them? No, but it was definitely a necessary move for them nonetheless. So good for them. We'll see what they do in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great move for them. They have to keep him. I mean, he's a great defender, like probably their best defender, in my opinion. So they had to keep him. He's a great wing piece next to Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. So great deal for both of them, and we'll see what they can do in the years to come.
For sure.
Moving on to a team that Gio thinks is done, though, the Denver Nuggets. They did sign Dario Saric, who's a great role player, to a 2-year, $10.6 million deal. Do you have anything to add on the Nuggets that you haven't said yet?
I do. One, this is a good move. I'm not going to deny this. Dario Saric, he's a great inside piece, great passer, great size. He can shoot the ball, can spread the floor. I do like this move. I've seen him play with a championship type team with the Golden State Warriors. I do believe he did win in 2022. For him to go to the Denver Nuggets is a good move, but overall, I just don't believe that's enough for the Denver Nuggets to go over that hump one more time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great move. I mean, they're trying to replace KCP, but there's no replacing KCP. I think the past few years they've let way too many players go. Specifically, Bruce Brown won, and then KCP this past year.
Don't forget about Jeff Green. I mean, what he
Yeah,
did
yeah.
for them in the playoffs was insane.
Like after they won the finals, they let those two go, and then this year they let KCP go. Like it's going to add up, and I think it's going to add up this year. They'll still be a top 6 team in the West, just not as good as people
Right.
are used to seeing them.
Right.
But this is still a great bench addition. He is still a great player. Their bench did lack size behind Jokic, so great addition for them. And like you said, he's a great player, and he does know how to win, so he fits their culture perfectly. It's just not enough to win another championship. I agree with that. But moving on to the 76ers agreeing on a 1-year deal with Kyle Lowry for him to return. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this is a good move. He's a great, asset to the team. Obviously, he's not going to be playing as much anymore, in my opinion, but he can still, help your team, even if he's on the bench, because he's such a great veteran presence. So good move. Definitely can help them in the future. So we'll see what happens, but overall, I like this move.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a great backup to have. Obviously, he's not going to start with PG, Embiid, and Maxey there. So great backup, someone who can come in and relieve Maxey of his point guard duties whenever needed. So great signing for both Kyle Lowry and the 76ers. And obviously, he probably wants another ring before leaving. So this is probably his best chance with the 76ers compared to the other teams that are after him. But moving on to the Sixers losing a key piece of theirs, Paul Reed, the Detroit Pistons claimed him off of free agency waivers. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he was a good backup for them, obviously, especially when, say, Embiid goes down or if he gets injured. But I think overall this could free up something for them in the future. You never know if they can get another good big or a solid big. I mean, Dwight Howard, okay, let's just be honest. I think he still has some legs underneath him still. I know a lot of people like laugh at him now, but realistically, this man still was a 3 or 4 time defensive player of the year. Went to the NBA Finals on his own pretty much with the Orlando Magic. NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers. So, and he was just an athletic freak of nature, right, in his prime. So I still think he's still got some legs under him. Still can definitely benefit a team in the NBA. Why not sign him?
I think personally his NBA days are behind him. I think he's better overseas than he would be in the NBA. I just think he's still a great defender and a great rebounder and stuff. I just think he's too old, in my opinion.
That's probably the reason why he's not in the NBA right now. But then again, I don't think there's a better big on the market than Dwight Howard as of right now. Maybe get a JaVale McGee out there if he's not on the market. Overall, I just don't really see another good big out there as of right now, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely tough, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of teams who have lost centers not go out and get centers because they have to trade for them, and obviously trading is a lot harder than going out and signing someone.
True.
But I think this is a big blow for the 76ers. Obviously, it doesn't do anything for the Pistons, in my opinion. They're at the bottom of the barrel and will be for a while. But I think this is a big blow for the Sixers, personally, because I think Embiid won't stay healthy for an 82-game season, and now they don't have a great backup to put in when he does get hurt. I think they still have Mo Bamba, but I still would rather have Paul Reed over Mo Bamba. So I think this is going to hurt them. If Embiid gets hurt, hopefully he doesn't get hurt for a long period of time, and it won't hurt them as much as I think, but I think it's going to hurt them in the long run.
For sure.
Moving on to a controversy, though, Derrick White did replace Kawhi Leonard on Team USA after Kawhi decided to opt out due to knee soreness and inflammation. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, so go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say all the positives. Actually, no, I'll say all the negatives first. Then I can end with the positives, so that's the ending thought. Negatives. I think there's a plethora of great players that should be on that team. You look at Jalen Brunson. You look at Jaylen Brown. You look at Kyrie Irving, right? Those top 3 guys right now. Jaylen Brown was the Eastern Conference MVP, the Finals MVP for crying out loud. And he's not on Team USA. You picked, say, quote-unquote, Derrick White for his defense. Jaylen Brown is a lockdown defender. He's more athletic than D. White. He's got shooting like D. White. He's an overall better player than Derrick White. You look at Kyrie Irving. all around, to me, the best player out of those three. No doubt about it. Yeah, his defense is questionable. Overall, though, he will give you a bucket. I think he should be on Team USA. He was previously on Team USA for the last couple, times they won the gold. Definitely should be on that team. You look at Jalen Brunson as to me, a second or third option if Kyrie doesn't want to be on the team or JB doesn't, or Jalen Brown doesn't want to be on the team, to not confuse anyone. Jalen Brunson, though, great player. Offense, amazing. Heart of a lion. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Jalen Brunson. Look at D. White. Only thing I can think of putting him on the team instead of one of those three guys is fit. Okay? Derrick White is that type of guy that can be like a chameleon and just fit into any system. Okay? That's that, mentality D. White has. He'll do anything you ask of him. Derrick White is that guy that can, like I said, fit into any system he goes into, and he will thrive, right? He thrived with San Antonio. He thrived with the Boston Celtics. I believe he's going to thrive with Team USA, and that's why they put him on Team USA rather than those three amazing players.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's mainly because of fit and defense. Those are the only two reasons that I think. Because Grant Hill did, in their first showcase, he went on and said they prioritize defense and rebounding, and Derrick White does both of those things great. And they also already had a player in Steph Curry that pretty much does what Kyrie Irving does, goes out and gets buckets. So I think they looked at that and was like, all right, we don't really need Kyrie. Jaylen Brown, I'd be upset if I was Jaylen Brown. I think he should be on that team. He should 100% be on that team. And he was mad at the SBs, and rightfully so. And like you said, he won the finals. He won finals MVP. He put up insane numbers all season long, and he should be rewarded for it. But unfortunately, he wasn't. The only thing I could...
I'm sorry to interrupt. It doesn't make any sense to me because of the fact that he's an amazing defender. He can rebound. He is more athletic than D. White, and you're telling me he's not on the team because they wanted defense? He's a top 5 defender in the league.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, he still plays great defense, just as good as Derrick White. And the only reason, like, I could see why they didn't choose Kyrie and Jalen Brunson. They prioritize defense. Yeah. All right, they're not that great at defense. Right. Jaylen Brown is, though. That's the thing. Like, and he's better offensively. And if you want to get buckets, like, you're going to need to get buckets against a team like Canada, team like Serbia, team like Greece. Right. You're going to need buckets. Right. Jaylen Brown would have been a better offensive player off the bench. Sure. So I'm not sure why they chose Derrick White over Jaylen Brown, to be honest. That's like, if I was choosing, I would have chose Jaylen Brown.
Because you look at it, right? You go up
and he's small forward too. Kawhi was small forward. You need another forward.
Right. To me, you look at France, you're going to lose the rebounding game. I don't think anyone's out rebounding those Twin Towers, okay?
No.
You need the shooting, right? And Jaylen Brown, you need the hustle on defense and Jaylen Brown. I can't really comprehend of why they chose D. White over Jaylen Brown. But then again, like I said, he is a chameleon. Kudos to D. White and making Team USA. He is an NBA champion now. He'll have a crazy resume, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I no disrespect to Derrick White. He's a great basketball player, but out of all the players that USA could have added to replace Kawhi, he's not the best player to replace Kawhi, in my opinion.
Right. Jaylen Brown, I don't think there's an argument that Jaylen Brown shouldn't be on that team.
Yeah, I agree. But if I'm a Clippers fan personally, knowing that Paul George is now off the team and Kawhi is still dealing with this knee issue, I'd be afraid.
I'm not afraid. I am changing my team. Okay. If I'm a Clippers fan, Kawhi Leonard's been dealing with this the entire time he's been a Clipper. Okay. You're
really gonna have to rely on James Harden because they're gonna get rid of Russ eventually, is what I'm hearing.
This is the move that I forgot. This is the move that could definitely put Denver back in a top 4 position. If you get a Russell Westbrook on your team, he's got a heart of a line. He's got the quickness of the effort. No one else can beat Russell Westbrook on the Denver Nuggets. I retract my statement. You get him, you're a top 4 seed, you have a chance of going to the NBA Finals once again.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, if I'm a Clippers fan, I'm sick of this. Like, how much longer are we gonna have to deal with knee issue before Kawhi actually figures it out and gets the surgery or does whatever he has to do to make it better?
Right.
So this, I mean, I personally couldn't rely on James Harden if I'm a Clippers fan. But yeah,
not at this stage of his career. He's 35, 36 years old. Like this, we saw last year. Saw the year before that. The spurt of speed that he got on his first step is slower. He gets more tired easily. That's okay. That happens with age. We all cannot be LeBron James, but he's still a great shooter, still a great passer, still has great IQ. It's just the fact that his first step was such a big part of his game and made him a top 3 player in the league.
Right. So it's going to be tough for the Clippers. And hopefully Kawhi is okay come season. Maybe that's why he decided to sit this out so he could, get it right before the season, which is obviously the smart move. I'm just worried. I'm just confused why he, knowing that he had the knee issue, like why would you consent to joining Team USA then in the first place?
I think he wanted the jersey, and I thought maybe he thought he could do it. Like he had enough time when he agreed to being on Team USA. Like, okay, let me get my knee right. We have a couple months. Let's do it. I don't want to turn this opportunity down to play with all these great players.
Yeah, I could see that. But like I said, smart decision for Kawhi. Ultimately, you have to put your health over obviously a gold medal.
Right.
But moving on to the in-season tournament returning next season, as I said, it is now named the Emirates NBA Cup. It looks like the NBA is keeping it here to stay. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I believe this is a great move. Obviously, it kept a lot of the fans engaged. At the beginning part and the middle part of the season, loved it. Love this tournament. I believe they renamed it just because of I want to say sponsorship purposes, and for the league, I think this is great motivator for all the young guys to stay competitive, and for all the stars to stay competitive throughout the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great move by the NBA to keep the in-season tournament in the league. Obviously, it was a great success last season, and I think it's going to be more of a success in the seasons to come. And I think they changed the name just because they realized that it was a great success, and they know it's going to be here for many years to come. So they're like, all right, we might as well change it from in-season tournament and put a trademark to it so we can have it for the years to come.
For sure.
But the last point is the Lakers adding Greg St. Jean back as an assistant coach on JJ Redick's staff. As I said, he won the 2020 championship with Frank Vogel. So what's your quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this is a great move for the Lakers. Other than that, I think they're already set coaching wise. I don't really think they can go wrong anywhere else now, adding another coach. So overall, great move.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great move for the Lakers. Obviously, another coach with championship experience, so he knows how to help JJ Redick, an inexperienced coach, become experienced and help him, put defensive sets in, offensive sets in, etc. Whatever JJ needs help in, Greg St. Jean can do that. So great hire for them, and hopefully they round out their coaching staff with Rajon Rondo.
For sure, yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, do that.
Yeah. But what's going on in the sneaker world, buddy?
A little quiet. Today I want to talk about the Wimbledon. We got the finals tomorrow. Championship for the men's. Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic play. We'll see what happens. That's probably going to be another great championship run for both of those guys. Great rivalry right now for those two. Today, I believe the women's. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She played fantastic against the Italian Paolini, I believe that's her name. Overall, congratulations to her on winning her championship. I think she's the lowest seed to win possibly the Wimbledon. So congratulations to her. And I think this is the first time she's won going into Wimbledon's final. So congratulations to her and all that she's achieved so far.
Yes, sir. In the video game world, the 2K25 cover was announced. Jason Tatum was announced as the NBA 2K25 cover athlete. So as a Lakers fan, I'm hoping that he gets, the cover curse where he can't win a championship next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully that happens. But I really like the Hall of Fame version. Finally, Vince Carter is on the cover of a version of 2K, the Hall of Fame version. So if you guys are into 2K, definitely check it out, and you can pre-order it now. Other than that, thank y'all for watching, and see y'all in the next one.
Hey guys, I don't know where he is. Maybe he's down in the comment section. Go down in the comment section, look for Nick Say. I'm sure he's down there. Go ahead and look for him. Type something in. Maybe he'll respond. You never know. If you guys like this, great podcast, go ahead and give that a thumbs up. Only if you liked it though. And then, like Two Wise Men once said, this time subscribe. We'll see you all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.